New.
You find this in other spaces, I feel like religiously speaking too, right?
Like talking about like originality type of thing.
No, I mean obviously originality is not that.
No, I mean there's an aspect of that in religion as well, like originality. Like for example, and I guess you can see that difference when it comes to like Shias versus Sunni. Like for example, in Sunni Islam, there's no original work like that as far as like there's just somebody like writes a commentary on a commentary on a commentary on a commentary, and then like all the work that's been coming out from scholars these days is just a commentary on a commentary on a commentary.
Okay.
And somebody like who did the original work. You will never see somebody write an original work.
Gotcha.
Because like philosophy is just kind of like shunned in Sunni Islam.
Yeah.
And the more I learned about Shia Islam, I saw like philosophy is like an important thing. So like I pick up a book from you sometimes, and I'm just like, wow, like that's a completely different take on the religion, and this is like original work that people don't see on the Sunni side.
So when do you think, like ballpark, when was the last philosophical analysis that you would say like is like in Sunni literature? If any, right? Like how far back would you have to go?
I will say before Ghazali.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like almost
Nothing major
1100
Like he
AD.
had that book. What was it called about the
Incoherence of philosophers.
Yeah, incoherence of like kind of after that, it just kind of faded away.
So that is almost
Like you're talking about
running
like
on.
Ibn Sina, Ibn Rushd, and these guys, and like before that period.
So that's 1,000 years running on right now, right? Because I think Ghazali would be around 1200, 1300 AD, give or take. So there's been 1,000 years of a philosophical. You're seeing lack of philosophical analysis. I did not know this.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
It might be
people
more
aren't
prevalent
familiar.
in like depending on where you're at, what school you're following, what madhab. If you're more, if you're in somewhere not in like the West, I feel like you're more madhab oriented. And as time has gone on, that's lowered, but you were more madhab oriented. And depending on that madhab, you would have a certain amount of like epistemology or whatever that is.
According to that methodology.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
So both of you, which madhabs were you a part of?
Hanafi.
I've never read
Your
it.
dad's from Karachi, right?
Yeah.
You're probably Hanafi.
Yeah, but honestly, he didn't even know.
Is that a thing?
Huh?
Is that a thing?
Your
Like,
dad's like Mahajir from Karachi.
So it's Hanafi, was it Shafi? I would say, I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know which.
Yo, watch him. Watch
like,
him.
is your dad from Karachi or Hyderabad?
He's from Karachi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is your dad from before that? You know.
No, I actually don't know.
Well, I mean, generally in South Asia, Hanafi madhab is the.
In Pakistan, you're
standard.
Hanafi, but like as time has gone, especially post Zia, you've gotten just a lot of like Salafi Wahhabi influence. Yeah, but for a while, people started writing Pakistan on their license plates because there's no P in there.
So that's like the import of
Yeah, like to the Jahalat levels.
Yeah,
It's crazy, but yeah.
Trying to
But
adopt that.
so in lieu of philosophy, so I'm confused. So how would a scholar be able to give you like a ruling or a fatwa on something modern day if there is no?
Sorry, I think maybe it's 'cause it's like a something that can like relate. In Shias, some Shia schools will not believe in any sort of like spirituality like that, right? Other schools will focus on it.
So you have madhabism, I guess, for lack of a better term, exists and doesn't exist. Not madhabism, sorry. If you're talking about madhabs in terms of fiqh, right? In the Shia school of thought, like that'll be, like you have marjas, mujtahids that are constantly, writing new works, whereas like the mujtahids of the four madhabs, that was kind of set in stone.
Well, that was whoever was
But
accepted after a certain
you can.
Okay.
Thing is, you can apply a religion without the spiritual aspect. How do you apply it without philosophical analysis? That would be my question.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's a lack of philosophical analysis. It's more so like, okay, there was a time when they had like that in place. Like, think of it this way: the scholars back then, they were scholars. We have scholars today too. We have scholars back then. But anything that you bring up in religion, they're like, oh, Ibn Taymiyyah said this, or this person said
You're not
this.
viewing it. You're viewing it things like a STEM major. Like there is no. You're not processing information or Islam through like some philosophical lens. If you do that, you're more like they'll consider it like, oh, you're just going through like a college phase or some shit, and then as soon as you're a grown ass man, you'll generally tend to conform to not thinking philosophically at all. It's very just like, hey, this is what you have to do. This is Islam. This is the way of life. It's just an instruction book. It's a manual for life.
And I feel like that's kind of where I've found it interesting to be generous use of the word interesting. Whenever I've interacted with like, my Sunni friends, I find like a very narrow and straight mode of analysis in everything. Not only religion, because that's understood, like that's your predisposition. Or not your predisposition maybe even, but your background, let's say. You're nurtured into it. But it could be even the material conditions. It could be as simple as, viewing an immigration issue maybe at times, right?
You've been trained your whole life to think that way.
Like for example, this Lake and Riley thing, right? That recently has caught my eye, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but we'll take the liberty of going on it. I met a couple of friends, and they had this whole like, hey, but the illegal immigrant, if he was deported as the law says or something, blah blah blah, whatever, right? And it was just like this thing where like they're stuck on the fact that this is the law. You don't understand. This guy has to be deported because that's the law. And I'm like, but I personally, again, this is just me talking broadly. I'm against deportation. I don't think, just prosecute someone to the extent of the law. Yeah. But they were just hung up on the fact that this is what the rule book says of this game, so you have to follow it. And I'm not talking about getting to an agreement or a consensus. We could not further the conversation past the fact that, this says it right here. What don't you understand?
So would you say you find to be more literalism in the Sunni reading of things?
No, not even. I mean, look, though, that worked. Okay, for example, if you were studying the Quran, and then there were scholars that study the Quran and they have their commentary on it, and they give their explanations for it. That was there. When the period ended after that, like after a couple years after that, I mean, that's all you have to reference.
So are there like, it's no new tafsirs type of thing?
You got a commentary on the previous commentary.
Okay, so that gives me an idea of what
it's it's a snowball effect, but in reverse. It's like maybe you're losing.
It's like people that do reaction videos of a reaction video, kind of like that.
So there was the four schools of Sunni Islam.
Yeah.
Everyone either just stuck to that, or they just got into like hey, we're beyond like needing these scholars and stuff. We're gonna be more Quranists. So then they go into a more Quranist sort of category. So those are the only two things you see. There's not any freedom of philosophical thought. Yeah. Us, because of the whole marjas and there's so many different people that got to that level of scholarship, that has left this openness in I don't know, academia even, right?
Yeah.
For philosophy to exist and be continuously debated and refined.
I mean, you'll hear people even nowadays that it's fake speakers right now, Speakers Corner and stuff. These guys that are popular in Speakers Corners, they despise philosophy.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. It's not a secret. Yeah. They'll say it openly, oh, we don't need room for philosophy. It's a waste of time. Because usually and you know why? Because the people that they're usually talking to, suppose a person comes and they're focused on philosophy, they take philosophy classes. The people they're talking to, usually what they say to them is, well, how do you know we even exist right now? Those are the type of people they're coming across, because that's a philosophy they come across. That's why they're just screw this philosophy. We don't need to get into this. But the philosophy that we're talking about is a different type of philosophy. But I think they're just getting all that, I guess, just that weird philosophy from these students. They're just kind of pushing it out.
It's just Islam's a discipline, very much so.
Yeah.
So these guys at the Speakers Corner, where would you think these guys are on the hierarchy? For let's say for Shias, there's the four big idols.
There's that guy Adnan Syed. He kind of pisses me off.
Oh, that guy is.
Who?
Some of his videos
Adnan
are Syed, I think.
Adnan Syed.
I think
Or Adnan Rashid.
It might be Rashid.
Yeah. I like Adnan Rashid, but
some of his things are cool. Some of them this guy's But
I like them for specific things, as far as the dialogue they have with Christians and stuff like that. Those are pretty good.
But even then, I feel bro, after so many years, and I know you can relate to this of all people, that I'm so tired of hearing the same arguments.
Yeah.
Like, cause you know what, bro? I stopped caring about the Christian, like Islam versus Christian thing. So because anytime you go to like Christian videos about like, hey, Islam debunked or something like that, it's the most like stupid arguments
Bro,
I've ever heard.
It's not even that. It's
not
stupid,
even-
but it's the
and then
same thing
Yeah,
over and
and then you
over.
go to
and
the,
over
and then you
again.
go to the
Same
comments,
video,
and then
same
they're just like,
everything.
ha ha ha, this and that, blah blah blah. Like even
Yeah.
the people that are
Yeah.
believing this are stupid. And I'm like, bro, what the heck?
Like for the past 20 years, you have the same questions being asked, the same thing, same answer being given. It hasn't changed. Every video, everything that you watch is the same.
But who would you say is at the forefront of like thought leadership here? That would, like, because obviously it's not the guy on the street.
That's it. Yeah. Who are like the people at the forefront of like thought leadership among like in Sunni thought? More or less.
Like for example,
Contemporary
Ideological is like the most followed marja, and I think there's like the three big ones I can't name off the top.
In
of my head.
Najaf and then
it's
in
not
Colombia.
as
Like
unified or like concentrated for Sunnis at all.
yeah, as in like who is it though?
I mean, you kind of just follow like the.
That's what I'm
Is
saying.
are there any names for these people? They're not marja. They're not
there
mushriks.
can be scholars, right, and they have their own like houses too.
Like
But,
people in it probably some like
all these guys go to
Al-Azhar
university.
or
A lot of these
whatever.
guys will go to universities and
Yeah.
stuff like that as well. I think
Yeah.
that there's a big one in Egypt. But,
wasn't
like,
Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi like one of the big like, contemporary thought leaders, and he died I think a couple years ago or something. He was based in
I'm
Qatar.
not sure, honestly.
Bro, there's
Yeah.
also so many of like Sunni.
Yeah,
like,
but see the thing, like the
population-wise,
people you're
But I
usually
know when he
following-
died, like that was a really big. At least on Twitter, like people were like, "This was like big."
But he was a proper scholar, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people
that's
that
what I'm
follow
talking
these
about.
days are like they'll have the title brother this or brother
Yeah,
that.
no,
They're
I'm
not
talking
actual
about,
scholars.
like,
they're
that
just
type.
knowledgeable and they're learning from their scholar,
Yeah.
right? But they're really good at speaking. They go on YouTube. They can relate to like the younger
That's
audience.
how it
Yeah,
gets
they
out.
So
can
that's
relate,
who you're
yeah.
usually like. People have been watching like Noman Ali Khan.
They started like streaming and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
So who
it's
are
so-
some names in that space who are
Like
big? I don't.
Omar Suleiman, Yasser Qadi, you know, it's like Dallas is like
Bro,
the big forefront. The
Thought
Dallas
leadership,
scholar.
regardless of Islam, has become like influencers. For most.
Yeah, but what about like
So-
on like a Qaradawi level, right? Like you were talking about, like that's like the teacher of the teacher of the like
On like a
that's the
fiqh
top
level
dude.
though, like
yeah,
on a
like-
fiqh level, like maybe not political, right? For the sake of this, but
Yeah, some of them are out there. Like there's some like good scholars that have good information. They have like their talk shows and stuff where people just sit there and watch,
Yeah.
ask questions.
Yeah.
But it usually turns into like a question answer thing. So sometimes when I watch those, like there's this one guy that's really knowledgeable about Islam, but the questions you get on there are like, "Hey, can I do wudu this way?" And then he's just giving you an answer.
How
to
far
that.
apart
like,
should my
it's like
toes
very
be?
small details
It's
about
like,
like
yeah.
religion that aren't gonna affect it that much. It's not gonna affect like important things in our lives.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not gonna sit there and watch a video about this guy talking about how to do.
That's crazy. Okay.
Bro, well, one time I walked into this like seminar about like your political like duty and stuff or something like that. It was like a majlis, right? But it was like a Q&A thing with the Malana. So and they held it at Murtaza, and so I went and no one's asking any questions because I forgot who the Malana was, but this one uncle raises his hand while this Malana is like giving his presentation. He has a PowerPoint. That's the type it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy who's a board member or whatever just goes in the Q&A, he's like, Malana sahab, yahan pe pani mein in the water there's fluoride. Okay, is our wuzu still good?
Chill out.
And I was like,
Oh,
bro, this guy just
Jesus.
went over an entire PowerPoint. He
Chill.
brought the laser pointer out for you to show
Chill.
you stuff, and you're asking about fluoride in the water. And I was like, this is the level of thought.
what was the response?
He's like, no, you're good.
Okay, good. See that? I mean, hey, I mean, now I know.
See, there you go. It answers your questions.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like I mean, I have some Sunni friends, right? And it's kind of like here, never here or there. I don't know. In your experiences, have you seen this criticism? Like, I don't know if criticism is the right word, but this analysis, like, hey, we're missing this.
No,
Or,
you know why? It works for, at least for what I've seen for Sunnis. Everyone's just about like, yo, get numbers and get into the discipline. and it's very easy for the redemption arc Muslims, the redemption arc boys who you go through your 20s, and every boy I feel like that I grew up with, at least they knew this on some subconscious level where they're like, I'm just gonna fuck around, and at 30 I'm just gonna do this 180 and become the perfect Muslim, and my wife needs to be the purest one, and I'm now a full halali.
They want it
and
all.
now I don't want to think about anything. I'm just need to just get on my discipline.
And this
that's
is
it.
different from Shia.
Yeah,
boys.
Shias do the same thing but without the discipline part.
Because I was gonna say like.
Yeah, I was like, where is where's the difference here? Like, you're describing every single one of the guys I know, and me. Because if it's seeping into like other aspects of your life, this mode of analysis, right? Like, let's say you're a Marxist, whatever. You start viewing
You're
other
not gonna
things.
Be a Marxist if you're.
As in, for example, if you are a Marxist,
Okay,
right?
okay.
You start viewing every situation, maybe almost, in like, okay, I have to take into account what's the power dynamic here, what is the material condition here, and it could be something from like very micro level to like extrapolated to a global level, right? And that's your lens that you're viewing every problem through. That's how you are analyzing the problem and coming to a solution through that. But if you are lacking any philosophical analysis, or you're okay with just regurgitation, maybe, let's say, for lack of a better term, and again, like, this is not restricted to Sunnis. I mean, I think like for Shia stuff, like,
You find this
100%, and I think again the past 2-3, I can only talk about the past 2 decades because but I'm sure like if you talk to someone who's a little bit older, they'll talk maybe 80s onwards, right? Specifically to subcontinent Muslims, there's just like a vacuum of original thought, like you were talking about earlier, and maybe like a critical analysis of just like what you are engaging with on day to day. It doesn't have to be something abstract like the supernatural being, or
critical
even,
analysis is
I
lacking.
think
it doesn't even have to be something like foreign policy, in my opinion, right? I'm talking about the critical analysis of like, hey, I go to this masjid. Today is MLK Day. Today Yemen got bombed. Today January 6th happened. Today Trump got elected. Something happened today, but I'm not able to engage with the masjid on this matter, right? In
It's
a
just not
substantial
there.
way.
It's just not
There is no unity on these fronts, right? Or there's no even like acknowledgement of. I know a lot of Sunni friends who they didn't know what was happening in Yemen for a decade, for the past 10 years, like, and they're like, wait, well, we go to Jummah together, right? We grew up going to Tayyiba Masjid in KD together.
Yeah.
You never
That's
heard
a
about this.
diaspora thing.
What do you mean?
That's a problem with the diaspora, and this is more prevalent in Sunnis, where the diaspora that came here, half of us didn't even know what the hell our mazhab was. Like, we didn't know, like, most Sunnis don't even know what the hell that is. The casual ones. Now, maybe in recent times that, like, they've had more Shia friends, or Ismaili friends, or whatever the heck else, right? They've become more conscious of that, or aware of that. But for the most part, bro, my ass didn't know what the heck I was.
Oh, we
My
didn't
cousin.
know. We didn't know Tayyiba Masjid was a Barelvi Masjid. We were going to Barelvi Masjid the whole time.
No way!
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
insane.
But why is that no way?
No, but I mean, look,
Well,
even that is such a like what the madhab is. That I mean,
but
it has no material impact.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that means like, so when everyone came here, there was that vacuum of original thought, which is a consequence. This is a generational consequence, because our parents all kind of like inherited everything they were supposed to do, and they actually did what they were supposed to do, but they didn't think about it much. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So when they pass that down, now you have a bunch of kids that have, to a certain degree, like, some critical analysis of like their own beliefs. And if you're not in Pakistan, you're gonna view things very differently. A lot of people that had critiques of like, a lot of people that they went on the ex-Muslim wave, that had critiques about like how backwards everyone was. It's because half their parents didn't even know what the heck they believed themselves. Like, I might have been lucky, you might have been lucky, and like we might have been lucky that our parents knew about Islam or whatever. But a lot of people, they had a very...
It was the culture,
they had
just
a
go
very
with the flow.
Bendu, like...
The culture is to follow tradition.
Yeah,
the culture is to follow your forefathers.
Exactly.
Right.
And now you're here, and then when you do receive proper thought and properly, like, you know, like, worded and printed, like, text with, like, you know, proper, like, hey, this is how to do things properly, this is how you stop being a jahil, you're gonna take that, you're gonna eat that up. Most of the masjids here that are, like, well funded and very nice, very subtly, the stuff they're teaching you is, they're teaching you to not think too much. They're teaching you to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not
But
teaching you to think
this
at all.
analysis, you can apply this, what you're saying, like, okay, you lose it in this, like, in...
Shias don't teach you to do, they teach you to think.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, these things would make sense
And
to
only
me.
think, and only keep thinking, and don't do anything.
Like, you know,
Just keep
we're
thinking.
talking about the discipline, boys. These guys stop thinking and get on the discipline. These guys don't do the discipline, but they keep thinking. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but again, like, thinking, believing, all these things, they're just in your head. I'm saying, like, when you see something, like, out of your five senses that is not, like, you know, I'm saying, whatever the belief structure is, whatever the thinking is and not applying is, when you have seen, for example, let's just take one of the things. Let's say you've seen that you go to this masjid every week, and they did not talk about in the past 10 years. You had 52 Fridays for 10 years, so that's 520 days that they did not talk about Yemen. And Yemen is not a denominational thing. Mostly Sunni Muslims there, going through the biggest humanitarian crisis in human history. And this was actually a conversation I had with one of our friends. Hopefully, you know, we were able to bring them on at some point, maybe. But he was like, hey man, I'm really disappointed about something. I'm like, what? He's like, my Sunni masjid, like, I mean, he didn't say Sunni masjid, he said my masjid, but, you know, my Sunni masjid, my Sunni parents, and my Sunni siblings. Nah. But he's like, my masjid, they never talked about Imam Hussain to me, for example. Like, not to get too niche. And I was like, okay. And he's like, they should have at least mentioned it so I can go down that rabbit hole if I wanted, just to know something that I didn't know before. And I'm like, okay, that is disappointing maybe, but, like, what else does your masjid talk about? Have they talked to you about, you know, again, I brought this example of Yemen up. And he's like, nah, I did not know about this either. So I'm like, at first I had to think maybe this guy just doesn't know anything. But then I was like, nah, I'll give him the benefit of doubt. And this is my experience with Sunni masjids too. Just not able to engage on serious matters with the flock. And just being like, hey guys, let's just not see nothing. Let's not hear nothing. Let's not say nothing. Go with the flow. Go with the flow as in, like, just ignore what's happening around you. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like, you know, guys like maybe Umar Suleiman have broken rank, sort of, over the past decade on these things where they talked about political issues.
They definitely played a big part in that, because a lot of the Muslims that came, or like a lot of the people that have like Pakistani parents or foreign parents, they were stuck in that cultural mindset. And when they listened to like Umar Suleiman or Nomuli Khan and any of the scholars that are over here in the United States, it was a different Islam than what they were taught in Pakistan.
Yeah, or like the people that became disenfranchised because all they received was that, you know, Bendu-ish view.
Yeah.
How is it different? How is it different from what, like, what are the differences?
They're born here, they can talk to them better, they understand it from more logical
they don't speak from a
lens.
Pakistani cultural aspect, basically.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the things you're saying, a lot of that is fixed by people that are actually converts. So a lot of the converts to Islam, they are pretty good with following proper Islam.
I
as
hate
far as
them.
how it's supposed to be.
I'm sorry, I don't want to. They're good people on both.
On both sides.
Converts, bro. Annoying people. But yeah, continue. Reverts, sorry.
Reverts.
Yeah,
so,
annoying people.
It's kind of like that thing I was talking about, like with this whole thing that just happened with Wissam Sharif and like all this, you know, like this nasty stuff.
What happened?
But basically, remember I told you about that imam in Dallas. It was in Irving Masjid. Imam Nick, I think his name was. I sent you a video about
Imam Nick.
Yeah, he's a convert. And everybody was, so something happened in the masjid where like some uncle inappropriately behaved with a kid, and it was pretty bad. So everybody was like, oh, quiet down, like we'll investigate it, but we're gonna keep it on the down low. And this guy's a convert and he's an imam. He became an imam within a couple of years, right? And he's just like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is not the way it's supposed to be done. And that's how they've been doing it. And he's like, this has been consistently happening over the years.
Yeah.
People are just keeping it on the down low, and we're going to investigate it even though we're not officers.
Yeah, I had that problem.
It's like the Imam committee. I mean, the
Is that the baby powder?
I had that issue.
Investigate it and then do what?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on with this whole, and Noman Ali Khan and these guys? What is going on with these guys as teacher?
Yeah, that's
like, what is the story? Because I don't even remember it properly.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an expert on this topic, it's probably Hani, because he read a lot that day.
Well, I mean, when I found out about this Wissam Sharif thing, I mean, and this is kind of like a more, like, it was very morbid. It was weird, right? Reading the testimony of that case. Like, at first, like, like, it was like, okay, it's like, haha, pedophile Maulana, it's like a whole stereotype. When you see the impact this person had on one of the women in his flock and her 6-year-old daughter, right? And I mean, I don't know what extent the mother of that child was involved in. I guess it didn't say much in the testimony, but what they did to that child was just disturbing to read about. But it sent me down a rabbit hole, and turns out this guy is actually the ex. His sister was married to. I don't want to get the details wrong.
I think that's what it was. Something like his. There's a relationship with Noman Ali Khan.
His sister is Noman Ali Khan's ex-wife. Or something
like that.
And I guess this led me to a website which I'm trying. I think it was called Face or something along that line. Yeah, and they had different articles or different court testimonies and cases of clerics and Maulanas who've engaged in inappropriate, sometimes sexual abuse, physical abuse, rape, pedophilia, and turns out they're all related to this one guy, and not related like just like familially, but not all of them either. But there's a connecting node, and it's this Maulana or this sheikh, I guess, from Chicago, who I believe was arrested.
He's a sex offender. He's a registered sex offender.
Being a sex offender, engaging with a child that was 14 years old when he was 74.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's the fuck.
And apparently this guy has taught a lot of the flock that has taken over the internet space, the YouTube space, for Sunnis. Right now, I'm sure there's corresponding Shia YouTube spaces, but I don't go into those. I get enough of religious content as is, but I find the dependency on YouTube content to be a lot more detrimental when you have a lack of philosophical analysis and a dearth of a top-down model, as far as for scholars.
Yeah.
Just because once these internet celebrities, these influencers, like you said, they get on, they're saying whatever. Who's monitoring this? Who's like, as in that guy, this Wasim Sheikh guy? He had this thing where he would be like whispering sweet nothings into the microphone during his like speech or whatever, that like his podcast that he had, talking about God, but it's like very sensual. In a way, right? And there's like different people who like pointed this out on Twitter. Now, obviously, I wasn't turned on, so I wasn't impressed. But I guess whoever it was, like, this was his thing. Like this was what he was like. Like he's putting out like, yo, I'm a cool I'm an attractive person. Listen to this attractive voice right here.
An attempt on originality.
And yeah, attempt on originality. And this is I mean, who was monitoring this mode of communication that, hey, you cannot be doing this. Like, you cannot be engaging with your flock in this manner. Like, with this medium, yes, but in this manner, maybe not, right? Not at least as a sitting sheikh in a masjid or doing a religious podcast. I find, obviously, like, in Shia Islam, like, you're not as susceptible because there's not, like, I guess there's, like, a top-down model at play where any very serious issue, there's already kind of like a narrow confine which the debate's happening because of that saturation at the top. But again, you would probably have more experience with that, right? Because on the other flip side of it, I find Sunni people on serious issues, like getting in line quickly, whether it's Syria or something along serious matters, quickly like, hey, without any type of like, again, in a hush-hush masjid even, everyone knows, hey, by the way, Shias are kafir, and Ismailis are kafir, and Ahmadis are kafir, and Syria, that's all like, Assad's fault or something. But even in an apolitical infrastructure, being able to have everyone fall in line on even political matters, that is, I'm not sure how that is enabled, but I find it very interesting, and a little bit insidious.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know if you feel like that because you actually attend a masjid. Do you ever feel like a subtle apoliticization mixed with a political disposition already in place to make sure you can counter the narrative when someone comes to you with something that is contradicting the beliefs that you hold?
Yeah, probably because I have Shia friends. So like when I hear from you guys saying like, oh, like this is the way it's supposed to be, like you guys are supposed to talk about this in the masjid, and then in a Sunni perspective, when you're listening to a khutbah is supposed to be like something that's different, not necessarily about that topic. That's like, I'm not saying that's how it's supposed to be, but I'm saying that's how it kind of is nowadays. Like when you go to a masjid, like that, they just don't believe that that's where that conversation is supposed to take place. A khutbah is supposed to be like a spiritual upbringing, like you're talking about like, how to better yourself and like stories that are like, motivating for you, rather than talking about like a political thing. Maybe that wasn't the case in the Prophet's time.
So one of the two khutbahs needs to be about current issues, about what's going on now.
Yeah.
The other one can be spiritually uplifting.
Yeah.
Like
that's the theme of it these days, right?
Yeah. I have noticed that they'll have more like program based things. Like they'll have like an event at night, one of the nights of the masjid. It'll be one of those programs that about if it's like some issue, right? Or they'll be like, hey, here's a fundraiser for Yemen. They're not going to talk about the issue. They're not going to talk about the political circumstances behind it. They're not going to talk
recently
about
it has been more common that they are talking about it in some Muslims. Yeah.
Recently it's been because
you can't avoid it.
You can't avoid it, and when you see other people doing it, it's like,
yeah.
So your Sunni friend had never heard about Karbala, and most of them probably hadn't. They started doing some events in Muharram, like one night or two.
Yeah, nights. I remember I went to a couple of those. They were nice.
Yeah, nice. And they have them at like Maryam Masjid. I know for a fact. Maybe somewhere else too.
I can't speak for every Sunni masjid. Obviously, like whoever's listening, like if you guys go to another masjid, it's probably different. But I've been going to like smaller masjids in Houston.
My experience is also limited to Houston and like Karachi, but Houston is the main.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think a lot of the masjids, their messaging is controlled by
ISGH.
Yeah, ISGH.
Right. I think ISGH right now probably has around 60 masjids, give or take, 65 masjids.
ISGH is a very big organization.
And very controlled. They control the messaging very well. So, even the politicization, I feel like that is happening. Like, let's say, for example, this Karbala thing, this topic, if it's being, slowly, let into the masjid now. Let's talk about it. So, maybe it is to specifically talk about it. The other flip side of it is,
this is how you have information to like, because anyone that's like encounters like, hey, I've never heard about Karbala, now I learn about it. The only place you're gonna get that information is gonna be like mainly from Shias, or if you're looking at Hanafis, right, which you're not gonna get much of in the West, at least like literature or like influence. Now it's like, hey, you have information. You're not gonna be like shocked when you hear this for the first time, and here's your rabbit hole right here. I'm giving it to you.
Okay.
yeah.
So that's what it kind of is, because everyone's now as Shia friends, everyone's talking about things. You're gonna find out.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, here you go. If anyone says anything, you know what to say.
Talking points.
Like, you know what's up now, and then you also know what's up.
Okay.
So what caused I guess we'll start with you. What sparked you? Because I know a lot of people who won't even go down, are not even craving for the rabbit hole, right? What made you and then you can kind of talk about your experience as well. What made you go down like this rabbit hole of just exploring comparative denominations, comparative religion?
Yeah, I mean,
Because you studied the Bible as well, right? I think
yeah,
I was
yeah, definitely, yeah. As far as Shia Sunni Islam goes, I guess just being around so many Shia friends, I'm just like, what is the difference between us? Because we're kind of the same. Like our values are the same. Like we grew up with the same values. We follow the same religion and everything. But like, there's just like this mindset people have, like, oh, like they're off of these, like you're not supposed. So I'm just like, why are they off of these? Like, why can't we, like. Because some Sunnis have that mindset where it's like you just can't be around Shias, you can't be friends with them because they're Kafirs, right? And I'm just like, that's kind of extreme, right? So I need to see why, right? So that's where I went down the rabbit hole, just like researching after researching, going to Imam Bargas, listening to massage and stuff. I still remember the first time I went to a massage. It was at Murtaza, and I went with Bilawal, and that was brand new to me. Like, it was just a different feeling, and I walked out of there crying, and I was just like, give me a second. I was like, hold on. But then I went down the rabbit hole more, studying hadith, and after doing all that, I just kind of came back to a point where I was just like, it didn't solve anything for me. Like, as far as like finding truth or anything, but it's just like, all the information out there is just, are you going to believe in this source, or are you going to believe in that source? And people just kind of make that way more important than focusing on like how you can, like work together with both sects.